the MITM Business Consultants
comes Man in the Middle, your one-stop shop for financial tips and tricks that big banks and corporate America won't teach you
and don't want you to know.
Discussing the latest and greatest products, services, skills, and habits to grow and support the financial needs of your business and you. Giving you the knowledge to help make your own important choices for your business and you.
Disclaimer: Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
Now, here is your Man in the Middle, with 10 years of experience in the financial and banking industry, Art Abrahamian.
What's going on, everybody? This is the second episode of Man in the Middle. We just wanted to let you guys know we've been having technical difficulties tonight, and this is our second time shooting it. We spent the last 55 minutes talking, and we had to delete that podcast, and we're doing it again. So, yeah. George,
here's another shot at this. I hope
here's
this
the
one goes
second
well.
shot at it. We started at 7. We finished at about 8, and now it's 9.
Almost 9 o'clock.
And we're starting over. So... let's get right into this one.
Let's get right into
the
it.
one that we're talking about today is actually going to be
the do's and don'ts
of drinking with clients. Now, you will see that we got started at about 7.
Cheers.
Cheers. And you didn't get to watch any of that. So, picking up where we left off, we're talking about the do's and don'ts of drinking. Saturday night. It's now 9 o'clock. We started originally at 7, but doing our broadcast of everything, we're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts of drinking. And, you know, one of the things I want to point out is we are redoing this because we wouldn't let that kind of quality go out. We were having a lot of echoing issues, and we don't want to have that be an issue for you guys, the listeners. So we're going to get straight into it, and... I know you know a lot more about it now because we just spent the last hour talking about it.
Yeah.
But what do you know about the do's and don'ts of drinking prior to the conversation we just had?
Well, prior to the conversation we had, I know you're not supposed to go to a bar that you typically go to. You don't want to take a client there because it's a terrible setting. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, and I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into detail because that's going to ruin the entire podcast. But, just don't take your client to a general spot that you would go to.
Here's the reason. And you know what's funny is you flip-flop on your answer because I asked you in the original one, I said, would you take a client there? And I said yes. You said yes.
I said yes. And I said because, I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with the location I go with my friends, and so if I were to take my client, I think I'd be comfortable in a setting like that. Right. But you told me that's not a good reason.
Here's the thing about the do's and don'ts of drinking with clients, and they're very important. Mm-hmm. I've seen people ruin their careers because they didn't just have something as simple as, you know, why it's important to know the do's and don'ts. Mm-hmm. Now, again, these are my own reasons as to what I think about it. Everybody has different reasons, but one of the do's is make it known it's a drinking affair. So the reason that you need to tell the client, hey, do you care? Do you drink? Because some people don't drink.
Yeah.
Some people may have a religious reason for not drinking. They might be recovering alcoholics. I've run into quite a few clients who I was like, hey, should meet up for a drink one of these days. And they're like, oh, I don't drink.
So what do you do in settings like that when they say they don't drink?
That's fine.
Do? Just take them out for lunch?
Yeah. I mean, just, you know, you want to find it with something else. Just because they don't drink, we can't alienate them.
Golf, right?
Yeah, golf. We'll go golfing. And I mentioned, I'm going golfing this Friday with a client.
Yeah.
He doesn't drink. I want to play some golf. Well, what I think is called playing golf. So I'm going to take that client. We're going to go golfing. Great. It's going to be a way for us to bond on the field and talk business. Now, the reason for drinking with clients, it's first and foremost, it needs to be a bond that you're trying to build. Professionally, they know what you're capable of because they've met with you, I'm assuming, count multitude of times. They already have an idea of professionally what
you have to offer.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a level of like trust that needs to be built before somebody will do business with you. And why people are so hesitant to seal the deal with a business transaction is because they just aren't sure with their decision, or maybe there's something holding them back. And when you break that barrier by going to drink with somebody, it creates a very interesting concept in the client's mind where it's like, I'm enjoying myself and I really like this person's company and I already know what they're capable business-wise. Let's do it. Friday, I had a client in here for a beer. It was one tall beer, but we split it amongst each other. It was like a beer and a half. And this was a client who, by the end of that beer and a half, looks at me and goes, I'm in, I trust you. And it was funny because that's apparently all they needed was just a little bit of conversation about us personally to feel like, you know what, at this point, I already know what he's capable of business-wise, but now that I know him on a personal level, I definitely want to do business with this guy. And, we talked about all things. We talked business when he came in. We talked about benefits, but then we got to like his family and him and how he and his wife just got back from Greece and all things considered, they had a big travel plan. COVID kind of messed with that, but they were able to go to Greece. And how I asked, is that with your kids or is that just, and I already known he had kids because he had mentioned it before, but come to find out this guy, his final child had finally left the nest and she's finishing nursing school and she finished this year with a job that's ready to pay her $50 an hour. And, I was really impressed. And I said, you should be proud of yourself for putting your kids through that, because every parent, that's all. I said, you give your kid a career at such a young age. And this is a guy who came from nothing and went from coming from nothing and not knowing the value of the education to provide to himself and his family to working on his own PhD. And not only providing the PhD, but putting all his kids through college. So once we broke it down on a personal level, and I told him about me and my family, and we kept it lighthearted. Obviously, we don't talk too personal.
You don't get too deep into the conversation.
No, I mean you can get certain levels of deep into the conversation, but it has to be professional at all times.
Keep bringing it back,
right? And you want to always resurface like the reason we're here today is for business. One of the to piggyback where we talk about what to do, you have to pick a bar where you can hear each other. It's the most annoying thing to talk over music, or if it's a really like busy bar, you might want to cut away from that. Look for like a more quiet bar. The idea behind it is you also have the outside element too. Like if people around you are getting rowdy and causing confrontation, it might make that person feel uncomfortable. You try to avoid that.
Right.
One of the things that is important is if the client, you always let the client order first. So the reason I always tell the client to, waiter or waitress comes in, what can we get you guys, or the bartender, I always say, please take his order first or her order first. And the reason I do that, it's more strategic than anything else. I like to let the client lead. So what that means is if he's having a whiskey, then I'm having a whiskey.
Why? Please tell the audience why.
Because we can automatically, that's a bonding factor. What's your favorite whiskey? Oh, I like X, Y, and Z. Well, what's yours? Double black. Great. Have you ever had double black? No. Well, I'll try that. Great. So now we're talking about something that he enjoys, and we're kind of finding a common ground too. But if he orders a whiskey, you don't order a mixed drink, right?
Sex on the beach?
Right. Can I get a sex on the beach? Like, no, you can't. Don't do that. Like,
okay.
I'm sure you like that drink, and it's great, but if this guy's going, I'd like bourbon on the rocks, and you're like, can I get a gummy bear shot? Yeah, like you're going in at a different thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of shots, don't take shots with clients. It's a no-go. It's just a no-go. I have seen people ruin their careers because of shots. And not like beginning level careers. I am talking like high up there in terms of positions and just letting go of $200,000+ a year because of poor mistakes.
Wow.
And
give us a little insight as to what happened, because we want to hear it. I'm sure the audience wants to hear it. Make it quick, concise.
This was a meeting at the bank for managers and district managers, and they went to some sort of training. And I know this is a real story. I wasn't there. I know it's a real story. I saw the videos. And I was wondering why that following Monday after the Friday and the weekend, that person just suddenly was not with the company anymore. But they were at a training. After the training, everybody got together. You might want to pull this up. We can barely hear you. There you go. There we go. Perfect. So they're at this training. After the training's all said and done, they're like, let's go drinking. Okay. Shots got involved. They were doing shots. This person who is high up there in the professional ladder takes a bunch of shots and she gets sloshed. I mean, messed up, sloshed, and starts groping another manager in front of everybody. And not only groping, but like begging, like, let's come to my room. Let's do this. Let's do that on the table. Sure enough, that weekend went through. Monday came around. That video surfaced up. A few stories got told, and they're like, you're out. You're done. And this woman's doing well for herself now. She started her own company. We won't get into the specifics of what kind of company, just for the sake of anonymity. But she lost benefits, $200,000 plus job for nothing. I mean, just because you can't handle your alcohol. So know your limitations in terms of like what you can drink. If you know that 2 beers, there are some people who just can't handle more than 2 beers. Alcohol affects people differently, and that's okay, but you have to know how it affects you. So if it's 2 beers, don't go above 2 beers. Typically speaking, my rule of thumb is like 1 drink every hour and a half. I think 1 every hour and a half is a fair number. And the reason for that is you're trying to make sure that the scope of what you're doing is good. Like, you're trying to get them in for a business transaction, and you're trying to get to know them a little bit better and hopefully break the last barrier that's keeping them from moving forward, or breaking the ice in some cases.
But you're also trying to build a bond, and you want to be coherent about what you're saying.
Right, but then there's also the fact of like, I want this person to go back to his family. I want him to make it safe. I want him not to get into an accident or get a DUI. So it's like, we don't condone drinking and driving. If you notice, we drink, right? We're drinking right now, but we're chasing with water. And that's another thing. Always a glass of water with your drink. If you're drinking 1 drink, then you need a glass of water too.
Right.
The reason for that is, you got to stay hydrated. You got alcohol in your system. It's dehydrating you at a rapid pace.
And you're not there to outdrink your client. You're not trying to showcase to the world that, you can.
That's why we don't. That's why you don't do shots. You're not there to. Yeah. It's not a competition who can drink more. You're not trying to keep pace with each other. It's a sipping event. That's it. It's sipping. If he asks you if you want to do shots, you say, you know what? I'm not a shot guy myself. I'd rather just enjoy sipping. Because if he's telling you let's do shots, he's trying to take it to a different level. And you're like, you know what? I'd love to, but I got to get back home to my kid later. I'm fine where we're at right now with just sipping. Controlling the scenario in the conversation is when you start noticing it's getting out of hand. You also have to be the voice of reason. Like, you know what? I'd love to, but maybe another time, not now. Yeah. Because it's very easy to turn that professional setting into like a frat house.
Yeah.
After a few
drinks. It happens very quick.
Oh yeah, especially when somebody's already like on the tipping point.
Yeah.
And you'll know right then and there from your initial experience if that client is worth taking to something like that again. You might be like, you know what, I can't take this person to a bar. I'd rather take them to play golf or tennis or go get tickets to a show and be like, hey, I want to take you to this show. Go to lunch or dinner, talk there, and then go to the show after.
Have you ever been in a situation like that where one of your clients drank too much and things got out of hand?
Myself, I can't say that I have personally, because I've usually left by then. Okay. I have heard of stories where after my leaving, something crazy was happening, or they got rowdy, or maybe almost a fight. But me, myself, is like, I usually pull myself away from that before it starts. One, I don't want to deal with that. And 2, the whole point of that night is to just talk business. Once you start seeing that, like, that mood shifts, it's time for you to make it. You have to make a call there too, where it's like, hey, at this point, we're not getting anywhere with business, and you're just continuously drinking. You obviously wouldn't say that to that person, but it's just time for you to pull away from it and you know, move on and just say, you know, I can't go drink. Like there's friends I have now. I was like, I'll never drink with them because the person that they become is just not somebody I can be around. And it's like they just become a completely different person where nobody wants to be around them. It's like anytime alcohol is involved, I'm not in. I'm just no thanks. I refuse to hang out with that person anytime alcohol's in their system. That's how like crazy.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I mean, who wants to deal with someone like that? You know.
Right, exactly. Like you're there to spend time with your client, get to know them. You're not there to party, and you're not there to babysit either. Yeah, like it's not your responsibility to keep this dude from getting punched by 12 other guys because he doesn't know how to handle his alcohol.
Oh,
like, it's just, I'm sorry,
that happens too often.
Right. Don't wait after a few of those drinks to talk business. I think the problem is like people go out for drinks, they have a couple, and they talk about sports and personal and this, and then it's like. The whole point of the conversation was supposed to be business, but now you come back to it and you're like, so yeah, about that contract. It's like, nah, you lost this guy already. Yeah. It's too late. Yeah. It needs to be, you know, sit down for some drinks. How's the day? You guys have any trips planned? Great. How's your family? Fantastic. And then you ease into your, you know, I appreciate you coming out tonight to talk to me. You know, I really want to earn your business, blah, blah, blah. And you talk business. Mm-hmm. And then after that conversation is then go back to personal and then touch base. If you can refer back to the business just a little bit, great. You're just trying to gauge where this is going, right? Like the goal in mind is you're taking this client out to get to know them, but to maybe find out what the discrepancies are with why they won't move forward with it. Like the gentleman I was talking about earlier where we got to talk a little bit and then that was it. It was never the business. You see what I'm saying?
That missing connection between you guys.
It was the missing connection. His hesitation was never the services. Yeah. In his heart of hearts, he's like, I love these services. I need these services. But there was just something holding him back from doing it. Yeah. Turns out it was just this personal connection where it's like people who do business like to work with people that they trust. You look at people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, they have people that they trust. Any wealthy individual or successful individual or just really anybody. Yeah. They have their core group of people that they trust. When you're in the business world, you become one of those core group of people that they trust. Because if you're providing a service for them, they trust you, they respect you as an individual, but the relationship they have with you is a business trust relationship. And the thing is, that's a very hard circle to get in and get out. Like once you're out, you can't get back in. And once you're in, you got to maintain it and keep that up.
That's powerful.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember the movie Meet the Parents.
I've never seen it.
There's a scene in there where the dad is a flower shop owner, but he was really like former FBI secret agent. Wow. And he's married. The guy's marrying his daughter. And he goes, his name's Greg. He goes, Greg, I have a circle of trust. And once you're out of my circle of trust, you can never get back in. So for those of you who have seen that movie, it's the same concept. People have a circle of trust, and once you're in, you're in. Once you're out, you can't get back in.
Yeah. Once you break the trust, it's over.
And I'm like that. I'm one of those people. Mm-hmm. I call it my SH list. My list.
Yeah.
Like once you're on there, you're on there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not easy to get on there. It's not like, oh, you didn't call me back. Welcome to the list. VIP, you're first one on there. No, but if you do things that just get you to the point that like, I just can't deal with you as an individual, as a business. And unfortunately, I've had a couple of them where it's like, it broke the boundary of like professionalism. And now it was more of an abusive professional relationship where it's like, we don't do that. We don't cater to that. We don't deal with that. So you have to cut it. And that's where they go on that list. They're like, I'm sorry, you're done. Like, you're out of that circle. Yeah. No circle of trust for you. You're done.
Has this ever happened to you?
Yeah. Of course. I've had that happen with a few people where it's like, I'm sorry, I just can't. I'll never forget
with your clients.
I just thought of one. I had a business owner, 2 partners, and an attorney show up in my office one time. This is when I was working at the bank. I'll never forget this. I knew the attorney. The attorney was my client. These 2 guys I've never met a day in my life. The room is like tense. Tense. Like you've never seen. You could cut it with a knife from the moment you walk in. Wow. I felt awkward. I'm trying to converse. I say, oh, this is, I never forget what I said. I said, this is a nice logo. I looked at the business card, and one of them said, thanks. That's my business logo. And the other one just kind of looked like, oh, dude, this guy, I'm sick and tired of him. Pretty much what it boiled down to is the dude hires the attorney and is like, you are going to take this $100,000 and you are going to F off. This is now my business and you're done. So I don't know what's going on. And it just was an awkward situation. Two of them leave, one of them stays behind, and I'm like, hey, man, everything all right? That was a kind of awkward scenario. And he goes, yeah, this guy screwed me out of money, right? This is what he's saying. He screwed me out of money. We're not, he just decided to take this business as his own because we locked in this really big contract, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I was giving him words of encouragement. I'm like, hey, man, you know what you're doing. You've been doing it. You could start your own. Like, you got the best of luck. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. That's all I said to this guy. The next day, I get a call. I get called into the office from my boss, and he goes, did you sit down with these people? And I was like, yeah, why? And he's like, because his wife is banging on the door at another branch and saying that you said all these things about him. Oh, and I'm sitting there going, what?
Yeah.
I go, first of all, the wife was not even involved in the conversation. She's over there saying, I said this, said that, said that. She wasn't even there. Turns out that the wife was cheating on the husband with that other guy in my office. Man. And that's why it broke.
So you didn't know about this?
No, I didn't know that. I ended up asking the attorney, and I go, hey, I know you can't tell me everything. What was the deal with that? Because that turned into this ridiculous drama. And he goes, the reason they broke their business because that dude slept with his wife. And that's why that all happened. Terrible. I said, you have no idea. So that guy starts calling me back. He's trying to get me he's trying to come in and do an appointment. I'm like, I'm not dealing with you anymore. I'm sorry. We're done. Like, I don't care. If I'm going to get in trouble for doing this, that's fine. But I had a personal boundary of like, I don't work with people like that. I was trying to give words of encouragement. That got misconstrued. And then now somebody's wife, who is the person at fault for cheating in the first place, is saying that I'm talking trash about her husband who she cheated on.
You got brought into the middle.
Yeah, I got brought into the middle of things. This business is called Man in the Middle, but we're not in.
Nice one.
It's not to get into the middle of discrepancies in relationships. Yeah. So that was like by far, I'll never forget that. But it was just a super tense moment, and it turned into this thing where it's like those two, all of them, I ended up cutting the tie with all of them. I ended up calling another person. And I'm like, take this relationship. I will not see these people, because at this point it was just chaos. It was chaos, and I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I was done.
Makes sense.
So to answer that question, yes, I've had that happen a few times. One thing I want to touch base on is never let the check, when you're drinking with somebody and it comes time to pay, do not let that thing hit the table.
Why?
When you sit down with somebody, and this is like very cultural for like Armenian people, right? It's impossible. And some of our viewers who know Armenians or other Armenians will start laughing when I say this, because they'll be like, I get it. Whenever they go somewhere, paying is a fight. There's YouTube skits all over the place where people are fighting at a table. Like, it's a joke. Wow. They're making fun of it. Just trying to pay the bill. Because in our culture, paying the bill is like a mandatory thing. When the check hits the table, what usually happens?
I mean, based off of my experience, everyone's looking at each other. Who's going to pay? Who's going to pay? But
right.
It's different with your culture. Excuse me. So
not only the culture, but the type of people. So that says kind of like the type of people that you're hanging around. If the crowd that you're sitting in is going, who's got, you guys want to draw debit cards and, debit card roulette? Like, no. The most appropriate thing is to offer to pay. But you invited the client out. It's your responsibility to pay. It's not his responsibility. He may ask because it's polite. It's polite thing of him to do. Say, hey, no, you can't. I invited you out. And you could say something if it went well, saying, you know what? Why don't you pick the day next time, and it's on you next time. And you now set like a camaraderie bond of like, you want to continue to do this. And now you've got this system going where it's like, I was guilty of that, like wanting to pay for everything, even though people invited me. And I learned along the way, after I kind of evaluated why it was happening, that it's inappropriate of me to do that.
Explain.
If somebody invites me somewhere, I'm ready to pay, but I don't expect to pay now because they've invited me. Just like when I invite them, I expect to pay and not them pay because I've invited them. The problem is when you step that boundary and you're like, let me pay, you're disrespecting them in the sense that like somebody hands you a gift and you refuse to accept it. Like I used to do that too. I didn't like it when people bought me stuff. I'd always refuse to accept it. But I was taking something as simple as like a nice gesture that they're trying to show me and taking my own personal beliefs about it and be like, I won't accept your nice gesture. And when you put it that way,
it can be disrespectful.
It's
right?
very disrespectful.
Yeah.
This person did it for a reason. They thought of you. They wanted to go get you something. I'm one of those people. I don't like it when people buy me stuff. But
Kind of makes you feel weird.
It does, because I don't want people to feel like they have to buy me anything just for us
to win you over.
Just to win me over. Exactly. Like I'm all about respect. I'm all about, being respectful of people. But I've learned across the time frame of like people who offer to take you places, don't push them back to pay. I still offer, like, do you want me to take care of this? They'll say, no, I brought you out here for a reason, so I want to pay. Mm-hmm. And when people bring gifts, I also say, thank you. I appreciate it. You didn't have to do this, but I'm grateful that you did. I really am. And I'll send them a thank you email. I'll text them thank you just to show how grateful I am. Right. But I no longer do the, I'm sorry, I can't accept this. Mm-hmm. That used to be a thing. And I've learned that that's not appropriate. So sometimes you have to just accept when people are taking you places and trying to be nice to you and go past that. Don't order the most expensive drink.
Why?
Don't try to be the baller in the room. Like, it's just what it is. If the guy you're with is ordering a $20 top shelf, I mean, we're talking like top shelf stuff. We're drinking
something decent.
We're drinking double black right now.
Yeah.
Double black Johnny Walker. It's a good alcohol. We don't have to go above that. If he's going, give me a shot of double, Johnny Walker, and you're like, give me a shot of Blue Label, cool. Like, why? You don't have to prove anything to anybody. Like, you're there to have a business conversation, not be the big baller in the room. It's not going to impress him.
Yeah.
It's not going to do any of that. Like, a lot of people have this interpretation that, don't worry, we're going to order the most expensive item. We're going to get the most expensive alcohol. And guess what? It still doesn't lead to the final closing of this deal. And you've spent all this money for no reason. Gauge the room. If he's just drinking a simple drink, get a simple drink. If he's trying to step it up a little bit, step it up a little bit. But don't just...
You always want to match what they're doing.
Essentially.
Okay.
Like, you meet them at their own level. Mm-hmm. They're doing something, you're not mimicking it, but you're just keeping pace.
Okay.
Going back to, like, when they you let them order first.
And it looks professional on your end, too.
Right. Because if he goes, give me black, a double black Johnny Walker, and you give me a Bud Light.
Yeah.
It's a simple thing, just as alcohol, but it just does. It's a psychological thing. It just does that to people where it's like, okay, I didn't know we're at the tailgate.
Right.
Like, we're here to have a business meeting. You're drinking Bud Light. It's like, what's wrong with that? It's just a beer, but it just does something, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just does something. So you match it. It's just what it is. If he's drinking hard liquor, find something that you can do. Even if it's like an old fashioned. Maybe you don't like liquor by itself. They're a Moscow Mule, something like that. Like, he's having vodka, great. I'll take a Moscow Mule. I'm not interested in having just vodka, right? I want something more than that. But you're on par. But if you go Black Label and then he goes mixed drink, give me a slushie, like, adios.
So what do you
mother
do in a
effer.
situation like that?
You don't. You back off.
Okay.
Because he's going in with it. Like, if he goes, give me an adios mother effer. Yeah. That drink is like 12 different alcohols and sugar. It's like, you're coming in with a goal, man. I don't know people that sip on that. Like, they go there for a mission. When you order that drink, it's a mission to get snacks.
So is this something you learned yourself, or did someone else teach you?
These are my rules. These are like things I have learned over the course of, my career and going drinking with people and just drinking with clients, and just like the relationships I've built have been stronger following this rule set than when I was trying to figure it all out. I used to be the guy who was like, I'll get a Stella no matter what it is. And I realized that it would just, one, it either made it look like I don't have the sophistication to drink like the person that I'm with, and all I know is beer, or I wasn't vibing. Like, we didn't have this vibe together where it's like, oh, you like whiskey too? Yeah, I do. This is the whiskey that I like. Like, you can just, those kinds of things you talk about.
And I think it's really difficult trying to match people's personality, but it seems like it comes so naturally with you.
That's just one of the things that work for me,
Yeah.
but it's not something you can't learn. Like, you may not be able to talk to this guy about everything and anything, but if you're a sports guy, like for instance, you hang out with your friends, I guarantee you can hold a conversation.
Oh, it's easy.
Because you're comfortable.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just getting over your initial nerves of like, oh, I can't do that. You can't. Pretend he's your friend. But he's your friend with a limit. Right? He's your friend. If that's what helps you talk to him better, he's your friend. But always know where that line, the where you cross the line of like, he's not a friend. He's a client. I have to treat him with respect.
I know exactly
and
what you're talking
professionalism.
about. I just recently started a job, for those of you who don't know, as an operations manager for a landscaping company. And there's this limit when it comes to speaking with most of our employees. There has to be some sort of professionalism. And, sometimes they like to kind of cross that boundary. They like to make jokes, and it's okay to kind of vibe with them. But for the most part, you always have to keep it professional, because once they cross that line, it becomes more of a help me out here. More of a
It's no longer you're a supervisor,
right? So
you're not one of the employees.
Yeah,
you're a
so I think
supervisor.
it's
Now you
important to-
stoop down. It's nothing wrong with that level. But what I'm saying is, you by having a title or role are automatically inclined to act a certain
way, right?
Whether I never went drinking with coworkers. When coworkers used to see me somewhere, it was like spotting a unicorn. When they'd be like, "We're going drinking. Do you want to come?" No. Why? I don't want to. I don't drink with my coworkers. I just refuse to do it.
Is that a number one rule?
It's my number one rule.
Okay.
I never dated anybody from the same company.
I know that one.
I never dated anybody within the company, and I never went drinking with coworkers.
It's good.
I have literally seen branches get fired, entire branches, because of a night out.
Oh man, that's terrible. I'm sure you have stories on that
I have
one.
a story. I'm gonna share a story right now.
Share it with us.
This branch goes on an outing.
Mm-hmm.
They go to the casino.
Yeah.
Somebody finds a credit card on the floor. This person works at the bank. Did work at the bank. Just to give you an idea, not understanding what they do for a living and where they do it, they find a credit card that is literally from the bank that they work.
So what happened?
They take this credit card and start buying drinks with it. Mm-hmm. That's not theirs, that they found on the floor. So they start buying everybody drinks. This guy reports it to the place that they were at. The cameras find out who it is. It's not hard to figure out who that person is when they have a presence in the community.
Yeah.
They go to the district manager. District manager fires every single one of them. People who didn't even know that those drinks were being purchased with this stolen credit card.
I apologize.
It's okay. People that we don't speak French fluently on here.
We don't.
We do that outside. But with a stolen credit card, and the whole branch gets fired. People who don't even know. They're like, I don't understand. We just went for drinks. Yeah, you did go for drinks. But because Johnny F's it up over there,
Yeah.
we're all fired. You all lost your job. Dude, it's insane.
Wow.
It's insane. Like, what do you guys
Did this happen at your branch?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I wouldn't be. But
I know that's a personal question.
no, and I won't. We're not going to get into any detail from then. It doesn't even matter what bank, what
Right.
branch, none of that. But the point being that, like, I just have always made it a rule. The only time I actually went, and I will tell you, I can count it in my almost 10 years. I only went out like 2 or 3 times.
With a coworker.
No, with coworkers, like for
Okay.
whatever event.
Yeah.
One was because my boss got a promotion, and because I respected him so much, I said I'm going. The next one, was somebody getting married, and I've been working with this guy for like 5 or 6 years. So we went. I went, did my thing, walked away. They went, continued on, and the night just got wild and crazy. Knowing, like, there's limits.
There's a limit, yeah.
I remember my parents are really, really cool. And my parents have always said, like, if you're going to drink and you feel like you're at that point, it didn't matter how old we were, always call us, right? Like, that's something I'm going to do with my daughter. Like, I'd rather you call me. I'll be upset, but I'd rather you call me and trust me to call me and come get me, or I'll go get you, than you drive drunk. I went to the party where my boss got a promotion. I can drink a lot better back then than I do now, but I could drink a lot. And I'm sitting at this table. Everybody's surprised that I even showed up, and I did it for him because I had a huge amount of respect for him, and I wanted to honor and celebrate his promotion and be. It's like sad that you're leaving, but I'm proud of you and I'm happy for you that you're moving up. You deserve it. Nobody else but you really deserves it for that. Mm-hmm. And everybody's drinking, and we're talking about playing drinking games with quarters. And I kid you not, the thing that hits the table, gummy bear shots. I don't like drinking mixed drinks. That's something about me. Anybody who knows me knows I either drink it straight or I drink, like, mixed to me is like a Moscow Mule
right?
or an old fashioned.
Yeah.
That's it. I do not do adios mother effers. I just don't do any mixed sugary drinks because it hits me so much harder. And I just always were taught, don't drink like that. Mm-hmm. That's how you ruin the night, not enjoy the night. So there's like no alcohol in those drinks. It's all just sugar.
Yeah.
And that's why people get so drunk off of it, right? I end up going, all right, give me like 7 shots of Black Label. 1, 2, right after the other, down to 7. The bartender goes, I'm going to come back in 15 minutes because I know you're not going to be walking straight. And I go, I will be. This is not a podcast about drinking, but like drinking personally, but I go, I'm going to be fine. Okay, comes back, tells me to stand up. She goes, stand up. I go, okay, walk this line. I walk this line. I walk this line flawlessly. She goes, where are you from? I said, I'm Armenian Russian. She goes, that had to be it. I've never seen something like that. She goes, I thought you were buying it for everybody. I said, no, I'm sick and tired of drinking these drinks. I'm going home. And I got really frustrated and started, drinking. So I called my dad. I'm not even drunk. I could drive, but I can't, right? I refuse to do it. There's no point. Even though I'm saying I'm fine and I can drive, responsibility, right? Like you have to take accountability and responsibility. I'm saying, pick up the phone, Dad. Yeah. Hey, Mike, I was at the river. Hey, I'm at the river. Can you come get me? Yeah. Why? What's up? I was drinking. I'm not drunk. I don't feel drunk, but I know if I get pulled over and he makes me blow into this thing, it's game over.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Because this is his response. Why didn't you call me so I could come drinking with you? Why are you waiting?
That's what your dad said?
He's just joking.
That's funny.
He goes, yeah, I'm coming to get you. I left my car there. People are like, are you all right? Why are you getting picked up by your dad? I said, because I've been drinking. On the other hand, these people that I went drinking with decided to drive. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But the point being that, like, you have to know your crowd. And after that day, I said, I'll never go drinking with them again because I don't like people who drink and drive. It's one thing to sip on something and then like an hour later go home. Like we had not even one drink. We had, a bit of a drink.
Yeah.
We've been here for 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
We're fine.
Yeah.
We're going to go grab something to eat after this and call it a night. But that was one of those things where it's like, I can't believe this is.
Yeah. At least you were responsible about it.
You have to be responsible to everything. Like, and those are things like going back to what you said, like if you're a manager, you could be one of the boys. Sure. You could be one of those guys and chill and hang out with them and everything, but it's like
there's this fine line that they can't cross and you can't cross.
And you want to know what you do now is you no longer look like a manager to them. You just look like George.
Right.
And
once that's broken, don't you think that it's difficult to gain that back?
Yeah. People don't see you the same way.
Right. Yeah.
We have what's called in business consultations, we talk about doing what's called a landmark fire. And what that means is for companies that are net negative, meaning the money that they bring in is negative, they can't even make a profit because their staff, it's always from them, but it's their, it's their lack of responsibility and lack of ownership skills that causes for their employees to get so complacent.
Yeah.
But the only way to bring that back is what's called a landmark fire. And with a landmark fire, you fire the weakest employee in front of everybody.
I think that's what Donald Trump used to do to most companies, right?
Maybe. I mean, it's a solid strategy.
Yeah.
It is. And what it does is it makes people around that person go, oh, crap. Things are getting serious.
Yeah.
Now, it's up to that owner to keep that habit and maintain that. And we teach that too. Like we teach that in management training and ownership training, like when clients ask us to consult for them. But that's one of the things that we do. We call it a landmark fire. You fire the weakest link in front of everybody so that they start shaping up. You don't do this all the time, but if the business is on the verge of closing because it can't turn a profit, it's time to make drastic changes. So those are one of those things where it's like, you just have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you, man.
If there's more than two of you, don't sit at the bar.
Where do you recommend sitting?
At a table.
At a
Think
table.
about this. You're with two people plus yourself. That's three of you. You've sat at a bar before. How do you talk to two people at the same time?
It's difficult. You got to be looking.
You don't.
To the side. It's like
But what do they see? If you talk to the guy on your left, what does the guy on your right see?
the back of their head.
And what else? Your back.
Yeah.
You give your back to somebody.
Yeah. And it's disrespectful.
It's very disrespectful.
Yeah.
If there's more than two plus you, there's a rule of thumb is more than two, including yourself,
Yeah.
at a table, eye level, so you can all look at each other and have a conversation.
Right.
If you got to do this, if you got to do that, and this guy's looking at your head, and this one's looking at your back, and this one sees your face, and this one sees your my bald spot,
Yeah.
like it's game over. It's just not a polite. It's just
Yeah.
not a responsible thing to do. That's not respectful. Eye contact with your employees is very important, and with your clients and with everybody. It just shows that you're listening and that you respect them. Don't pay in front of them. I talked about don't even let the check hit the table. Let's pretend the check hits the table. Don't pay in front of them. Don't pull your wallet out. It's just not a polite thing to do. It's not a good look either. There's no reason for you to pull your wallet and start rummaging.
Why? Does it make it seem like you're flashy?
No, it's not that.
Or
It's just,
it's
I've had clients that have had wallets that were literally rubber bands. Stacks of cards, little bit of cash, receipts, rubber bands.
Strange.
It's just not important. It's not professional.
Right.
You're better off saying, I'm going to excuse myself. I'm going to go use the restroom. I will take care of this. You walk up to the bar. You pay the tab. You can go wash your hands, go do the restroom thing, whatever you want to do. Wash your hands again.
Right.
And you come back and you get your receipt. You sign off and you're done. You say, I appreciate that. If you are noticing that they haven't brought you the bill yet, excuse yourself. Go use the restroom. Bring the card. Tell the bartender or the waitress or the waiter, keep an open tab just in case you want something else. But just run the card. Don't even bring the check to me. I had somebody tell me one time that if you have to look at the receipt, you can't afford it. So I never look at the receipt on things when I go like drinking. And that's not a flex because I don't drink crazy. But what am I going to...
Why is that though?
What do you mean?
Like, you don't look at the receipt.
No.
It just shows, what does it do exactly to
When I get out of the scenario,
Yeah.
I will look at it. At that moment in time,
Yeah.
I don't ask for the receipt. When I go to lunch with clients, I don't care what the charge is. I went in...
Knowing what you were going to pay for.
Right. I know where I'm taking you.
Right.
I know
Okay.
what that's going to cost. There's no need for me to look at this receipt, especially in front of you.
And it's lack of respect too,
It's a lack of respect. It's by showing this client that it doesn't matter what the receipt says.
Your time is valuable to me.
I brought you here to eat this food. You don't need to feel bad because I look at this receipt and go, huh.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Because that's the first thing people do is they look at this receipt and they start like analyzing it. Because they want to see if there's something wrong or they wonder like,
Yeah.
oh, why is that so expensive?
Yeah.
I don't even do it. I'll take care of that later. I will take care of that at a later day. If I notice a double charge, I'll finish the night. He goes on his way. I come back. Hey, I just noticed you double charged me.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of that privately, not in front of the client. You need to see personally, like if they've tried to come and put the thing before I've given them the card, I don't even let them put it down. I'm like, here's the card. Take it. Thank you. Go ahead and just run the card, and I'll come get it from you. And I've said I'll come get it from you.
So making these small, minor adjustments can improve a lot of business connections with people.
Not just connections, but it improves
bonds.
Making slight adjustments.
Yeah.
Changes the game like completely. Like we don't. we don't think about how just the small changes matter, and they do. Like, it's just, sometimes it's the smallest stuff that makes the biggest difference.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you have a set of rules like I do, like my do's and don'ts, abide by them. They're rules for a reason. They're not recommendations. Like, for me, they are rules. I follow these rules consistently. Why? Because they've proven to work. And over time, you learn what works and what doesn't. But a lot of the time when I've done small changes, because in that setting, you can only do small changes. Drastic changes come with drastic outcomes. Meaning, like, you wowed their pants off and they love you for it, or you screwed it all up. But you can have a great interaction that just didn't meet the expectation. And I think that's where minor tweaks make the difference. You could have done really well, but she just didn't do it for the client. What he was hoping to get out of that experience and that conversation, he didn't receive. And because he didn't receive it, he's not going to move forward.
Have you ever had any interactions with your clients where you perform all these fundamental skills or
every day?
And
every day.
You know, you didn't execute a business transaction that you were looking to make?
So I'm a huge proponent of, like, it might be a no today, but it doesn't mean it's not a yes tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I set the foundation. Sometimes you don't win all the time, and that's okay.
And it takes time, like you said.
Time.
Sometimes it takes you a year.
Sometimes it takes a year to 2 years for clients to, it might be a service that sounds great to them, but they just don't need it right now.
Yeah.
But keeping that channel way open and keeping that rapport and checking in with them and doing things like that from time to time, when the time comes, that person will respect how long you've put into it and will hand you it on a silver platter going, you earned this. And we've had that happen here too, where we've talked to clients and they're like, you know what, it's just not the time yet. And we're okay with that. That doesn't mean we forget them, but we follow the methodologies to a T because they work and because they work well. We're not trying to take advantage of anybody. That's not the case, but we definitely want to prove to the customer or the client that the reason you want to pick us over anybody else is because we're the best at what we do inside and outside. So when you can carry yourself in such a manner where it's like they know they can take you the nicest places and have a great time and sit down in your office and have a great time, they're eager to do business with you and only you, which makes them want to trust you more and do more business with you. So sometimes it's a timing issue and other times it's not, but those are my do's and don'ts. And we're going to wrap it up here. It's almost 10 o'clock. We've been doing this for like 3 hours trying to get everything going, but we're about 48 minutes in. Next topic is going to be about budgeting.
That's an important one. I think we all need to hear that one.
The reason we're picking, we had a client of ours whose turn it is to pick it, and they said, I want to know more about budgeting, personal and business.
Yeah.
This person had a lot of events happen in their life, some good, some bad, some tragic, and, the importance of saving and budgeting has become more apparent now than ever before, because a lot of the time we don't think about the what ifs. And it's kind of like when people have security cameras in their house or don't. They don't because they think they don't need them. And then something happens and then they're like, we got to get cameras. It's like, well, great. I'm glad you're ready for the next thing that happens, but let's talk about what went wrong.
Yeah.
You're right there?
Yeah. Little earthquake.
Has your mic stand been drinking too?
I think so.
Anywho, so the next one will be budgeting. And then after that, I really want to take some, a look at some things and we'll probably label out what we'll do after the budgeting one. But for right now, it's going to be budgeting.
Budgeting is important. We need to hear that one.
That'll be next week's. So I want to, thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you. We hope that this was a delightful podcast. We really wish you could have heard the first one.
The first one was amazing.
The first one was pretty awesome, but we did our best to recreate that this time.
Yeah.
The next one, we'll have everything set up. So we appreciate everybody's time. Enjoy your weekend. George, enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you,
And to everybody, have a great weekend. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. mitm.services is our website. Our Instagram's MITM Business Consultants. You'll hear it in the outro and see it. So, again, members get to choose these topics. So if you want some more information, check it out on our website. So with that being said, we appreciate your time, and we are going to go ahead and sign off. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Man in the Middle. If you haven't yet, please consider liking and subscribing to the show. If you can't wait till next episode, follow us on Instagram at MITM Business Consulting and online at mitm.services. There, you can learn more about what we do, how we can help, and the custom services we offer around your personal needs. Until next time, if you'd like to choose the topic we discuss and receive additional services, consider joining our membership program at mitm.services.
Disclaimer. Man in the Middle expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, reliance on, or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.
We look forward to you tuning in next time.